good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
That's not enough of a call to action.
The strings attached.
4 kids lost their lives. I take great issue with that, Caleta.
I say that it's part of the course.
They can't get important.
Distracting you from the fact.
His watch.
What has he done about police reform in this country? Nothing.
Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to Unsolicited Genius. I am your curator, Carlton Ennis, and I am with the man that specializes in spicy speaking, Mo Lotfi. On today's show, we will talk about the reality of our government, playoffs in college football, and all that thug love on verses. We hope to give you something to ponder.
Unsolicited Genius. You are listening to Unsolicited Genius.
What up, Mo? What's happening?
What's going on, my brother? How are you this evening?
I'm doing well, man. Apparently our Gator basketball team is trying to keep up with the football team. We had one loss, doing well in the season, but we lost to a 0-7 team, 0-6, 0-7. So they get their first win on us. So congratulations to TSU in my former home of Houston. So shout out to HBCUs, TSU. Don't appreciate y'all beating my boys, but it is what it be. Today is our first episode with a guest. So clap, 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 clap. We'd like to welcome to Unsolicited Genius and our listeners, Caleta Scott. Welcome,
Hello.
welcome. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me as your first guest.
Yeah, thank you for being a guest. Thank you for supporting the show. Thank you for feedback regarding the show. Thank you for being on the show. And for all of our listeners, again, you want to talk to us, you got something you want to say, might get you on here. So Caleta and I go back to UF days. She's a Gator, Mo's a Gator, our producers is a Gator, go Gators. So
Gator.
Chomp chomp from the swamp. So Caleta, just introduce yourself. Tell our audience what your life craft is.
Well, people would say I'm a truth teller. I generally agree. I try to be a light to those around me, my friends, my loved ones. My profession is a yoga instructor. And I also work for the Department of Health, the Florida Department of Health, as a health equity liaison, working to bring health equity in all policies in our government. So I've worked in local government here in my town. I was born in Florida. I'm a Florida girl all the way. Even though I lived in Atlanta for about 15 years, I found my way back home. And I'm living by the beach in a beautiful little town, Fort Pierce. So I've got an opportunity to make a difference in a Black community where I'm from. My parents are both born and raised here. I was born here. And I love this place. It's paradise. And it's just kind of old and raggedy. And I came here and decided that I can make a difference. And I have. So every day I help the Black community, either whether it's with health or with changes to policy here, and I'm just trying to do my thing.
Awesome, awesome. And then with that, what do you want our listeners to know?
That's a loaded question.
It is.
Well, I'll say that I want us to wake up and not necessarily take everything we see as what is real, because a lot of what we see is orchestrated for us. And we need to start to use our discernment to decipher what's smoke and mirrors and what's not. And I think that can be a cause for a lot of commotion. It's probably part of the reason I'm on the call today, on the podcast today, because I often feel that we get so distracted by the stuff over here, when in reality, there's a whole bunch of shit going on over there that we're not paying attention to because they got us looking over here at this malarkey. So I want us to kind of wake up and notice the malarkey and start to do the work that we can do to make our lives better and our lives of the people around us better. That's it.
All right, let the church say amen.
I
So-
absolutely love a woman that cusses. That was spectacular.
I'm trying to keep it nice for the show.
Okay. Well, so with that, welcome again. And what you are doing as our first guest is you're coming on the show to have a convo with Mo.
Yep.
We've got 15 episodes out there. We push out a lot of stuff. We say a lot of stuff. And so we all need to be receptive to feedback personally, professionally, romantically, however it goes. And so you came on the show in response to just things that you heard us talking about and decided, let's open the floor up for a more specific discussion based on your perspective, some of which you've already shared, what we know Mo speak about, and then where we can all find that commonality and ultimately provide the perspective and insight for our listeners as we talk about and want to do those things on the go forward. So with that, let's open it up, Convo with Mo. And what we're going to talk about today is basically our government and what we see it doing and not doing, and what we really believe we should be doing as its citizens. So with that, we talked about Biden and his administration, and at the time, very, very, very disappointed, at least Uncle Mo was. Some things have shifted, but with that, where do you see our administration, Caleta?
Honestly, I don't really, I don't really pay much attention to what they do on a daily basis. I don't watch the news. I hate to say that. It's terrible. But it's not terrible because I have lots of other things to do with my time. I think it's all a shit show. I'll curse again. I think it's all, I learned a long time ago who does what in government, and talking about one man and a few people around him is not giving us any information. It's not news. It's not news. So I say that it's par for the course. I mean, outside of this panini that we have going on, and I call the pandemic a panini because I don't like to give it that much energy. So outside of that, he's doing just as bad and terrible as other presidents are. And now what we have is just this megalomania with government and politics. So my personal stance is, I don't really give it that much energy. And I wish that we didn't so much either, outside of, locally, the things that we can do locally. So for me, I'm not a big government lover, but I have worked for the local government. I worked for the mayor, I worked in grants administration, I worked in community revitalization, and I realized that it's just a racket, right, of funds coming down and do this, do X, Y, and Z, but you can actually make a difference locally. So I don't know if that really answered your question to what you wanted to hear, but me, for your listeners, I don't give it that much energy because there's so many other things that I can focus on. I've got community gardens to help build. I'm building a community center here where we have access to healthy food and access to quality healthcare. I'm writing a health equity plan for the community. So that for me is where I put my attention on the things that I can actually touch and impact. Because really they just want you to vote, once, twice, 4 times, maybe in 4 years. And I think that's not enough of a call to action. So that's my stance on the government and whatever administration it is. It could be the Clinton administration, it could be the Trump administration, and this one, the same.
Well, my podcast partner has a lot of energy behind it. So what do you say, Mo?
Yeah, but I also agree with her. People need to invest in their local governments. They need to educate themselves on the people that they are voting for in their local. Like, for example, to her point, like, on a federal level, it affects you, but that judge that you vote for in your local community is essential to your everyday life. That sheriff that you don't do any research on and don't go vote for is essential. People need to vote on every level and realize the impact that these things have on them. So I'm 100% with her on that. The energy that I invest in the federal government comes from, for example, he's just sitting there watching voting rights get repealed in the South, and he's doing shit about it. Like, yeah, I take great issue with that, Caleta. Like, you asked for the black vote, and the black vote came out and helped you get into this position, him and Vice President Harris, and I will hold you accountable. Like, that's the part of the governmental process that I feel we need to take part of more. We can't just give people our vote and not hold them accountable for what they said they're going to do. I'm still waiting on this to see this Build Back Better plan. I want to see what he does for HBCUs. You know, I'm very harsh on President Biden, and Carlton always tells me, as he always does, to practice patience and let it play out. So I will do that, but you know, not impressed, just not impressed. And to the point of like, this is the part where she's also right. I'm not surprised that I'm disappointed. Like that's the part that's true, man. I'm not surprised that I'm disappointed because I do think he's a clown. And until he shows me more, I'm going to stay on that. And I'm not doing this to make fun of him. Like, have you heard him speak recently? He's just stumbling over his words. He sounds confused, just like the last guy.
Do you consider that someone else wrote that stuff for him?
All the time. Yes, definitely. Like, I definitely don't think he's out there writing his own speeches.
Right.
But when you corner him, though, and he gives you some insight to how he thinks, where it's not prepared speeches, we get things like, if you're black, you definitely have to vote for me.
We get fumbling,
like
bumbling,
that, you know,
stumbling
when you get a
Joe.
true insight. There are things, you know, I'm very much like you. I feel like I'm a truth teller. I researched, you know, Black people love to knock him for the crime bill of '94, but I've researched this bill, and you know, he had a lot of Black support for this bill. So that is not something I crush him for, because crack was a problem in the community. People wanted to see something done about it. What I will crush him for, not just him, because like you said, he's not operating as one man in our government, you know, and he was just a congressman when this happened. When you look at that bill, why is there such a disparity between the penalty for crack and for powder? Because the powder is his boys using it, so they made sure you can't go away for a long time for that. But when it came to crack, you know, the penalty for that is so much more extreme. As a president, though, just, he's awful. Like, so far, it's just been awful. And the Democrats are in trouble. Like, the Democrats are in trouble. They're in, Carlton, they are in huge trouble. Because you know what the everyday American sees when they go to their grocery store? Shelves aren't stocked. They see the price of their goods going up astronomically. And they're going, and whether, and she's right, is that one man's fault? No. But we know people, they are going to blame one man. They are going to blame one man. And they're going to associate that one man with his political party. I'm terrified for the election in 2022. Like, when that comes up, it's, if they don't turn this around quickly, it's going to be horrific for them. The other thing I don't get is, like, they just can't get shit done. This is where I give the Republicans props. They have the House, they have the Senate, they have the presidency. They move to get the things that they want done, their little raggedy agenda. The Democrats are soft. They're so soft. There's another word I want to use, but I don't feel like being admonished by Carlton or creating other work for my producer. They're just a bunch of pansies that are not willing to do what. I'm so tired of him talking about bipartisanship. Mitch McConnell doesn't even know that word. He never says that word. But Biden wants to tell me about bipartisanship, and Carlton, he can't even get his own party in line. He can't get Manchin to do what he needs him to do. He can't get the senator in Arizona, the female, to do what he needs her to do. So why are you telling me about bipartisanship?
On that point, so thank you both. And so let me say this and then see what you all, perspective is, what your response is. I was having conversations this weekend and politics came up. And the thing that I see in all of this is it is a design. I won't call it the right force. I won't call it the left side. I'm not, at this point, I'm not going to just say it's white people. It's the man. I don't know who it is or what it is, but there's an intention to keep America in a particular state, which includes Black people not existing in their power, amongst other things. But when you look at the Republican Party, no matter how ridiculous it is, no matter how upstanding or downstanding the president is, they line up. They're organized, they're consistent, they all speak the same speak, they all talk the same talk, whether it was Reaganomics, whether it was playing around in the bushes, whether it's the Tea Party or the Trumpers today, they line up. Even when they add new ridiculous voices and faces, they line up. And the Democratic Party continues to be disorganized. I go back to when Obama had his nomination for the Supreme Court. The Republicans did everything. They broke the rules. They rewrote the rules in order to delay that nomination so that he couldn't get his person in, because it would allow them the opportunity, should they in a different term, to get their person in. And it worked. And then when the opportunity was presented for the Democrats to do the same thing, because at this point the rule has been rewritten, they didn't. And now we did all this stuff to get Trump out of office, to get Biden in the office, so that we don't go back to what we got with Trump, so that we can allow the country to heal. And they can't get in order. They can't get it together. They can't get on one accord to do what, as you all have stated, what they said they would do. And so for me, it's all by design. At this stage in the game, it's no accident that the Democrats are disorganized. It's no accident that the Republicans are ridiculous. This is by design. And so if that is the design, the system is doing what it's designed to do. We've said that before. So when we talk about the participation and or engagement with what's taking place, I'm with you, Caleta. I don't want to watch any of it, but the fear in me is like, I don't also want to wake up to being controlled by China just because I wasn't paying attention. I at least want some time to escape. But then at the same time, I don't want to just sit back and just watch the country. I don't want to just sit back and watch the country fall apart. So I do want to participate. And that's partially the precipice of this podcast. This is me, Mo, Joe, doing our part to contribute to change. But beyond that, I want to participate locally, and I have participated locally. I had a candidate that I supported who since he's had to exit because of political shenanigans. But to me, it's local, state, city, county, government, whatever. It's flawed, and participation is important. I think that comes with voting, but beyond that, I'm at a loss for what else to do.
We need to buy politicians. Like I keep telling y'all this, man. This is the part of the political game we just don't play. Like, I'll give you an example of the people that I feel like, the Jewish people. I don't feel like the Jewish people care who wins what elections. I feel like because they're heavily invested in paying these politicians for their re-elections, so they get a lot of their agenda passed. We can't just vote and hope anymore. Like that hasn't worked. It's been 400 years now. That's not working out. We need to pool our money, our resources together, and we need to just get more involved in lobbying for the things that we want to see done, regardless if it's a Republican in charge or a Democrat or an independent. I really don't give a crap who makes it anymore. I just want to buy them so they can just do what we ask. Like that's politics in America. That's America. The money talks. A perfect example of that to me is these school shootings. Like these are white children that are dying in these school shootings, and these politicians still don't change the gun laws. It's because the gun rights people are heavily in their pockets. $104 million paid to lobby for gun rights, $4 million to repeal gun rights. There's a reason why it doesn't change. There's a reason why it doesn't change, Carlton. So that's a part of politics we desperately need to get involved of if we want to see some change. Because like you said, whether it's Republican or Democrat, it's not working out for us. It's just not.
Anything to add, Caleta?
Well, I was just going to say, and just to that point, Mo, that oftentimes I've seen in local races where one year the candidate is Republican and the next year he's Democrat so he can get on the ballot. You know, so they even know that it doesn't really matter because all that matters is the money of who put you in that seat.
You know, Manchin and the senator from Arizona, and forgive me for not knowing how to pronounce her name. I don't want to butcher it, so I won't say it. You know, ever since they've been giving, I guess, Biden and the Democrats a hard time, the amount of money they've got from conservative groups, I mean, tens of millions of dollars, Carlton. I know a gentleman in Florida, because I am a Florida boy too at heart. We're all Florida kids here. And he was running for office. And I'm not going to mention any names because I'm not putting it out there. I'm not going to do that. And it's hard. He's a Democrat. He's a Democrat. He's an African-American gentleman. He is a Democrat, Obama on the wall, all of that stuff. But in the area where he lives in Florida, you have no chance if you run as a Democrat. So he ran as a Republican. And he took money from Republican donors. And in exchange for that money, one of those Republican donors asked him to endorse Trump. He can't stand Trump. But guess what he did? He got in front of that camera and he endorsed Trump because that guy was like, look at all the money that I've given you. This is the favor that I wanted in return. And, you know, that's one of a multitude of reasons why I can't get into politics. I can't do that. I can't do that. You know, I just can't. I can't play that part of the game. But that was just eye-opening to me. Like, he doesn't believe in anything that the Republicans believe in. But when it came time for him to run, he ran as a Republican. When it came time for him to endorse someone that he felt was an immoral, just disgusting human being, he still did it because that guy looked at him and said, I paid for your campaign. I got you elected. Where is my payback?
All right. So on that, before we transition, or as we transition, I'd like to first say a prayer for the families of Madison Baldwin, Tate Meyer, Hannah St. Juliana, and Justin Schilling, because they are the victims of the shooting in Oxford. And we can talk about guns, we can get into that, right? It's another shooting, children dying, children killing children, the parents fled, they got caught, all that stuff. So much that we could cover there. But what I really wanted to get into was the photo that Representative Thomas Massie posted with his family for the holidays. And for those that aren't aware, Thomas Massie, a U.S. representative, took a photo with his family in front of a Christmas tree with every member of his family holding
Assault rifle?
Assault rifle. Yeah, assault rifle. So it's him, a daughter, a wife, looks like 3 boys, men, and another woman, maybe a daughter, maybe a spouse. But needless to say, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them with the smiley faces on in front of a Christmas tree, celebrating the birth of our baby Jesus, asking Santa to bring them ammo for their guns. So between the ridiculousness of it, the blasphemy behind it, and the complete tone deafness and tastelessness on the fact that he posted this picture the day after those people we just prayed for die. And so when I talk about the government and what I don't know what else to do, what do you do about that?
Ladies first, Caleta. My mother would kill me.
Well, I think that was just another smoke and mirror, right? First of all, who cares what this guy's Christmas photo is?
Okay.
Right? But this is just to get everybody all riled up, get Kentucky, get the Republicans some talking points, get everybody all happy and gun-toting and waving their flags on their trucks and junk. It's just a part of the system. You know, there's 12 months in a year, there's so many months. You know how they track the election, X amount of months out, X amount of months out. This is just a tactic in the political process. I think it's terrible, I think it's gross, but I think it's also just something that's saying, hey, look over here, guys.
And I believe what she's saying, Carlton, is what we talked about, you know, yesterday, though. She's right. This is, so what, after this picture comes out, what have all the conservatives been saying? People like Candace Owens with her coon self, right? Mm-hmm. She comes out, right. She goes, so y'all gonna really blame Representative Massey for this school shooting, but nobody's blamed him for the school shooting. They're just saying it's tasteless. But they create this narrative that the left, the Democrats, are blaming him for the school shooting. Now they're playing victim, and they're like, look, they're coming for your rights as gun owners, distracting you from the fact that children just died in a school because y'all won't do anything about gun rights.
We're desensitized to it.
He did this on purpose. He knew exactly what he was doing. He's a horrible human being. Is it tasteless? Absolutely. But, you know, once again, there's an underlying reason why he did this. He's rallying the troops. They're coming for our gun rights. We're struggling to get ammo under this president. We need Santa to bring us ammo. It's such a bunch of nonsense and crap. And she's right. Carlton, these people don't want gun rights only. They are gun fanatics. They are gun fanatics. It's like, and you know what white people know better than black people? Gun laws. So Kyle Rittenhouse knows that when he goes across state lines with an illegal assault rifle, why does he keep saying he's there to defend property? Because he knows the gun laws allow white people to protect property, to protect themselves. He understands this gray area of the law. And I've talked with black gun owners too, and one of them, me and Carlton are very close with, and he talks like these gun laws are there to protect him. No, they're not. They're there to protect white people and white property. And Kyle Rittenhouse knew exactly that. And that's why he kept saying that bullshit about who really believes he was there to protect the Walmart in Kenosha. I don't believe that. You don't believe that because it's nonsense. He was there to shoot protesters because he disagreed with what they were doing. And you know, Kyle Rittenhouse grew up in a family that loved guns. He knew these gun laws from since he was a little kid, and he took advantage of these gun laws, just like this Representative Massey is using this photo to rally the Republican Party, the base, around their coming for our gun rights, because they're a bunch of gun-toting fanatics. It's almost like a fetish. That's how I looked at that picture. It looked like a fetish.
It is.
Like, I feel like him and his wife have sex with assault rifles on the bed because they're just into some weird shit like that. Yeah, man, it's important that we continue to focus on four kids lost their lives. And this show, you know, I'm for all people. I don't want to see children die. I'm in education. Like, it's sad. It's almost to the point where like you're driven to tears. But Parkland happened. They didn't change any gun laws. This just happened. They're not going to change any gun laws because look what a congressman just did. He decides to give you a Christmas card with him and his family gleefully holding their assault rifles. These people, Carlton, these people don't even care about the people that look like them. Imagine how they feel about people that look different from them, because it's all about money. As long as the NRA keeps putting money in their pocket, they'll keep saying that. I'll keep saying stupid things like guns don't kill people, people kill people. Yeah, but people don't kill people in mass without guns.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Take a break, and we'll be right back.
You are listening to Unsolicited Genius.